Hello everyone, today's the day we're going to take a look at the ASRock X570S PG Riptide motherboard based for the AMD processors, and it's going to be quite interesting just because this motherboard is designed for, let's say, an X570 budget version, and it still maybe can perform. Now let's take out the motherboard from the box and check out some main features, specifications, and of course later on some benchmarks. So basically the motherboard and what you get in the box, couple of SATA cables, and you get this something they designed newly that you can add to your motherboard right here near the SATA ports is the GPU anti-sag bracket, which is fully modular and you can adjust it depending on the thickness of the graphic card, but we already covered that part in other videos. Now let's talk about the X570S PG Riptide motherboard. As you can see from the close-ups that the motherboard actually has a certain specific design, I would say, and leaving out some crucial parts on the I/O cover, which makes them visible so you can basically see the I/O ports. But all in all, the usually when you get the X570 motherboard, you get a fan here at the bottom to cool the chips. And as for the I/O cover, it's a solid heatsink with quite a thickness to cool the VRMs. But all in all, it's really nice motherboard with loads of connectivity as I can see so far. But let's check out all the details. So first of all, it supports AMD AM4 socket Ryzen 2000, 3000, 4000 G series and 5000 series desktop processors. The chipset is X570, and when it comes to power, since I already stated it's I would say budget X570 motherboard, 10 power phase design with DG Power and Dr. Moss. The memory, however, DDR4 goes up to 5000 plus OC. The expansion slots are 3 times PCI 4.0 times 16, and you have 3 PCI Express 4.0 times 1, and also you get one M.2 key for Wi-Fi. When we're talking about multi-GPU configuration, you have the AMD Quad Crossfire X and Crossfire X. Talking about the graphics output, since you can use the integrated AMD Radeon Vega series graphics in Ryzen series APUs. You have the HDMI output. When we're talking about storage, you have 6 SATA 3 ports, one Hyper M.2 PCIe Gen 4x4, one Hyper M.2 PCI Gen 4x4 and SATA 3. Talking about USB 3, USB 3.2 generation 2, one is on front type C and rear type A plus C. 8 USB 3.2 generation 1, 4 on front and 4 on the rear. 6 USB 2.0, 4 on the front and 2 rear. Talking about the audio, 7.1 channel HD audio Realtek ALC 897 audio codec. The LAN is Killer E2100G 2.5G LAN, and the form factor is of course ATX, as you can see. Now, going at the I/O overview, you have the BIOS flashback, antenna brackets. Unfortunately, you don't have any antennas here since it's not supported. HDMI PS2 mouse and keyboard plus 2 USB 2.0. Then we go to USB 3.2 generation 1 times 2. You have the USB 3.2 generation 2 type A and type C. USB 3.2 generation 1 2 pieces and 2.5 G LAN, and of course when we're talking about the sound, C sub, in, rear, out, SPDIF and microphone. Now, 2 of the USB ports are optimized for high report rate gaming keyboard and mouse, which is quite interesting because so far I haven't encountered a motherboard that actually has those kind of USB ports, so this is interesting. The Intel Killer E3100 basically prioritizes and detects networking, delivering an amazing online experience. So it kind of gives more priority to something that you're doing, for instance, gaming or streaming, depending on what you're doing. And talking about everything, at the top you have one 8-pin and one 4-pin connector for your EPS for your processor. Then you have 24-pin connector as well. And when we're talking about PWM for your fans, you have 6 connectors, and you even have 2 addressable RGB headers and 2 RGB headers. One of each is at the bottom far left side and one is at the far top side of the motherboard. As I already stated, the motherboard really does look impressive, even though it's, I would say, some sort of torn down just to reach the budget version of the X570. And you even have the M.2 armor here for your Hyper M.2 NVMe SSD, which is quite cool. So if you're checking out something that is in the budget category for X570 motherboards and for your AMD Ryzen processors, I would definitely go with something like this, first of all, because it is more affordable. Then after checking out the VRMs, of course, you can consider a higher VRM count for a better phase and power stage. But then again, if you're not overclocking and if you're going with something like 5600X processor, this would be a great way to go. Of course, there is a B550 PG Riptide motherboard as well. It all depends on you, which one do you actually like. So building a PC with this motherboard and actually reaching XMP profiles without any problem inside the BIOS, because we're already used to the ASRock BIOS and it's really user-friendly. You can approach everything, especially with the profiles and adjusting the XMPs, adjusting the overclocking possibilities, presets, making your custom profiles and everything else. It's quite user-friendly, as stated. When we're talking about using it inside the build, it's quite normal. There are no overheating on the motherboard. It's just standard temperatures, and when it comes to processor, it's almost all up to your CPU tower cooler. So all in all, it's a bit shorter video for the motherboard review and overview and the insights on the X570S PG Riptide, but it's quite easy to cover it all when we're talking about the budget version, where you can actually expect something with lower performance when it comes to power stages and VRMs. When we're talking about the M.2 speeds and SATA speeds and processor placing it on top and everything else, especially with the memory going up to 5000 megahertz in OC, what can I say? So guys, I'm placing the links below for both motherboards, so the X570S and B550S PG Riptide, so you can check out the prices if you're aiming for a budget AMD Ryzen build and you want a decent motherboard that can still push your processor that is also in the budget category, for instance like 3600 or 5600X. I would definitely suggest this one or the B550. So check out the links. Don't forget to subscribe for future content. Leave a like, thumbs up, click it, and of course click the notification bell for future videos, and leave a comment if this answers your question about the motherboard that is recommended for the budget AMD build. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I will see you in another one. Bye bye.